Hello, this is Mike. I'm back. Haven't made a video in a very long time, and I just wanted to get on and create something new out here in this amazing spring day. I been kind of fighting a lot of inner battles lately, and not having the time or energy to create videos, and I'm going to change it today. I wanted to title this video Let's Get Real and Be Our Christ Selves in Manifestation. And I wanted to talk about just the simplicity of being who we really are, which is always aided by being in nature, like the place I'm in. You know, so I was at a group event recently, and there was a topic that went around, and we answered the question, like, what is God, basically, or what does source mean to you? And I had an interesting response. I had interesting thoughts in response to the question, where I had an idea of like talking about like just the beauty and wonder of creation and how majestic and wonderful creation truly is, and how we partake in it as co-creators, and just the more mental aspect of describing source, where the feminine aspect of creation and then the masculine aspect of creator, projecting consciousness into creation and experiencing creation. And I love that, and that's beautiful. But the thing that I actually said was God is reality, because creation is complicated. It's so vast and infinite and miraculous. So God is kind of complicated, but it's also the simplest thing in the world. Spirit, God is reality. Aligning to yourself, to your Christ self, is aligning to reality. And that was really inspired by reading I've been doing lately by Paul Selig in his work with channeling the guides. I love his work, and just how it's such a direct approach to contacting and experiencing and aligning to your higher self in very practical ways, where I don't take credit for his affirmations, but the main one being, I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. And learning to root your identity in God, reconnecting to your own identity in God. That is your higher self. And everyone has a higher self, and it's reality. Your higher self is reality. And I have a hard time going and relating and feeling a part of groups and spiritual communities that make it so complicated about like higher self teachings, about like all of these mental gymnastics and positive thinking and doing this and that and imagining complicated things and meditation and whatever. And all the while I'm just like, let's just all say an affirmation together, like, I am the light. Something direct and powerful and real. Like, I am the Word made flesh, like a wise man once said. That wise man being Jesus. What does that mean? The creative power of God in manifestation, the Word. The creative power of God in manifestation means the power for spirit to imbue itself into infinite worlds of consciousness. The masculine aspect, identity, meeting the feminine aspect of power and manifestation, becoming and experiencing creation, not just having a dream about it. And so to try to kind of focus what the video here is about, just get real and be our Christ selves in manifestation. I hope that just resonates as something very simple and very pure, because it doesn't have to be complicated. Nature is not complicated. The forest is not complicated. I had a mental image earlier during a church service about how habitual thought patterns and beliefs and actions condense into your identity structure, which is interesting to think about because it's true. And then I had an additional mental image of that identity structure being a ship, like a wooden sailboat on the ocean, moving from where it left port, being birth, and when it arrives to its destination, being physical death. And so that identity construct that you've created out of your habitual patterns, habitual thoughts, emotions, actions, your idea of who you think you are, is sailing on this great ocean of infinite consciousness. And you feel separate from it. You got to protect yourself from the ocean. You don't want to have to tread water and get hypothermia and maybe sink and, maybe not make it to the destination. Maybe reach the spiritual adventure called death before you were supposed to arrive at that destination on your boat. And I'm reminded of a quote by Stephen Forrest, I believe, in one of his books. Maybe it's secondhand, maybe it wasn't his quote, but if that identity structure of your habitual patterns and ideas about yourself suddenly falls apart in the middle of the ocean and you're left to tread water and you're not sure what's going to happen, instead of fighting that you've fallen into the ocean and you don't have your identity anymore. The quote was, "A drop of water falls into the ocean and becomes the ocean. A drop in the ocean and the ocean in a drop." And metaphorical language is very powerful to be able to use physical symbols as ways to kind of bend and manipulate the way we think about things, because stories are more powerful than intellectual information. And so when the drop falls into the ocean and becomes the ocean, that identity structure that created the boat, that wooden hull of habitual ideas and patterns and actions and beliefs and things you think limit you and define you and what you can do and can't do, all of that instantly dissolves. And you're in the ocean, and you feel maybe threatened by the ocean, but the ocean just wants you to remember that you are the ocean. The drop fell into the ocean and became the ocean. Christ is within us, and we are within Christ. And Christ is not a singular person, but it's an infinite energy field. It's the way that we connect to Source in a multidimensional, infinite way in every present moment. And that's what Jesus did to the highest degree that we can possibly do while in human bodies. The Word made flesh. That's what he was. And he wasn't the only one that's done it, but he was one of the most significant ones for the age we live in. And so let's get real and be our Christ selves in manifestation. Let's let the wooden hull of the boat crash on the rocks and fall apart, and let's fall into the ocean and become the ocean. Not a drop in the ocean, not a person in a world, not a person in the universe, but the universe in a person. And so I hope that little metaphor that just kind of popped in my head earlier, I hope it meant something to you. I hope it resonated and reminded you of who you are outside of all the things you believe about yourself. Because in truth, you are your higher self. You are reality. You don't have to try to be your higher self. Your higher self is already you. We don't have a higher self. Our higher self has us. We need to stop thinking we're so important. And we need to stop thinking that we're too important to ask for help from ascended masters like Jesus. The way, the truth, and the life. One of my favorite quotes from the Bible is, I don't remember the exact verse, and I'm going to paraphrase it into what resonates really powerfully for me, is seek first the kingdom of your own divine nature, and all else will be added unto you. Because most of the time we don't really know what is best for us. And the fact that we think we do, that's just another layer of the boat shielding us from the ocean. The ocean of Christ consciousness. Just dissolve into it. Just get real and be your Christ self. This is Mike. I'm back, and I'm going to be making more videos again, and some more music and meditations as well, blending alchemy of my voice and sound. And I have a handpan now, so I want to introduce that into my work as well. So this has been Mike. Have a blessed day, and I see you in your true divine nature. I know who you are. You are spirit. You are the Word. You are the fullness and the glory of God, an infinite, immortal manifestation. There is only one Christ, and that Christ was fully realized in Jesus. And it exists in you as a potential. You can realize it as well. What's stopping you? I'll see you next time, guys.